Welcome, my children, to Beauties and Beasts. I am your host, DF, your ghost host. And this is the podcast for all things beautiful, beastly, and horrifying. Oh gosh, I wish Podbean had a thunder and lightning sound effect. Well, I'll work with what I'm given. Happy Halloween, everybody! What I love about this time of year is how people will incessantly binge watch every available horror movie streaming that they can find. Now, especially when we can't go out trick-or-treating or go to Halloween parties or show off our Harley Quinn outfit. Oh, I gave away what I'm going to be this Halloween. But yeah, so why do we love scaring ourselves silly with horror movies? Is it the adrenaline rush or eagerness to delve into our dark, sadistic fantasies without actually hurting anybody? Not like I have thoughts like that. Or do I? But the most horrifying things about some horror movies aren't the monsters or the ghouls or the goblins, but the horrors committed by human beings themselves. I'm not talking about slasher films like Friday the 13th, but humans who do awful things in the name of the greater good. Which is why we have a lot of misfit monsters persecuted by humans, who are sometimes just looking for love. And that's how we get the Beauty and the Beast trope in the first place. But that monster love is not always requited, as you may have noticed in some previous episodes. Classic horror films, especially during the 1930s to the 1960s, often have the trope of a monster carrying off a beautiful human girl, thanks to King Kong, which we discussed in a previous episode, not too long ago actually. One of the most famous examples is the Universal film Creature from the Black Lagoon in 1954, of a fish man who falls in love with a human girl. Even if you've never seen the movie, people are familiar with the Creature from the Black Lagoon in pop culture. The fish man is a very popular Halloween costume, and he is among the Universal monsters alongside Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein, Wolfman, etc., etc. Parodies such as the children's book series Creature from the Black Lagoon have arisen based on this film. But you may not be familiar with where the legend all began. Actually, it came from the Amazon, where the movie takes place. The Amazon rainforest, if you don't know your geography, is in Brazil. Back at a Hollywood party in 1941, producer Will Island heard from Mexican cinematographer Gabriel Figueroa of the myth of a human fish creature believed to live in the Amazon River. Hey, what do you know? This topic ties in with Hispanic Heritage Month too. In a way, you know. Will Island wrote the notes based on this myth for a story that he called The Sea Monster, inspired by Beauty and the Beast. 10 years later, these notes became the basis for the film Creature from the Black Lagoon. After all, our stories today would be nothing without the myths and superstitions of the past. But one thing remains the same. These myths and legends are used as a warning, not of the monsters in the magical sense, but of the monsters that human beings can become. Alright, before I get into this, I'd like to once again thank my $5 plus patrons, Anime Guy 1101, Arvin Joshua Rocks 15, Bella PinkSavage, Cosmic Trail, and TyrannosaurusVenom. Thank you for your continuing support, and I noticed Bella PinkSavage is in the chat today. She's noticed that, yeah, we do have that trend in horror movies, so yeah, here we go. Let's give you a clap. You too can become a patron by pledging at least $1 a month. Get rewards such as early access to new episodes, new YouTube videos, live streams, complimentary gifts, and much more. Just go to patron.podbean.com/beautiesandbeasts. That's patron.podbean.com/beautiesandbeasts. Or if you're on Podbean right now, click that Become a Patron button. Or you can buy my merchandise on Redbubble. It's not too late to order my Halloween products, from face masks to tote bags, shirts, buttons, and much, much more. Just go to disneyfanatic23.redbubble.com. That's disneyfanatic23.redbubble.com. All proceeds will go to funding this podcast and all my other creative work. True beauty comes from the kindness you show unto others, and your kindness will not go unrewarded. All right, and I see Bella PinkSavage, our $10 plus patron, who has special access to this private stream, has not really heard the story Creature from the Black Lagoon before, so she's saying, please educate me on this story. And I will. So, let us start with the obligatory plot summary. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. In the beginning, there was a dark, dark void, and then God created Earth. And life was created. And is this a horror film or a nature documentary? Okay, so fast forward. The seas are rising and falling, and evolution, blah, 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 survival, yeah, okay, and a whole lot of stuff about man evolving and blah, blah, blah. Ah! Amazon rainforest, 1954. Yeah, I don't get this opening. Where we have geologist Dr. Carl Maya on an expedition in the Amazon rainforest, and he finds a fossil of a claw of an indeterminate species. He brings his findings to a marine biology institute, and the team there is studying the evolution of the species to see if humans can adapt to the atmosphere on the moon. See, at the time the movie was made, we were just starting to explore space. Hadn't landed on the moon yet, but we were planning to. The team includes ichthyologist, I hope I said that right, Dr. David Reed, meaning he studies fish, and money-crazed boss, Dr. Mark Williams, and David's girlfriend and colleague, Dr. Kay Lawrence. Oh, hey, wait a minute, a female scientist in 1954? Wow, progressive for the times. Yeah, so what if she is someone's girlfriend, is the only female there, and is a damsel in distress? You know, for 1950s second-wave feminism, I'll take this as a win. Anyway, the team studies the claw, which looks amphibian in origin, but the fingers curl like that of a human's. So they think this prehistoric creature might be the missing link between man and fish. So they set off on an expedition to excavate the rest of the fossil. But when they return to the campsite, Dr. Maya's 2 Brazilian assistants have been mauled by some kind of animal. You know, it figures. In these old horror movies, the non-white characters are the first to die. Typical. Thinking it was just a jaguar or something, the scientists start digging. 8 days go by and they find nothing. And their boat captain tells them that the river empties into a lagoon. The locals call it the Black Lagoon, a paradise. Only because no one has come back to prove it. Yeah, Bella PinkSavage saying, red flag right there. You were absolutely right. The scientists think that the rest of the fossil might have fallen into the river and swept into the lagoon. Mark, looking for financial results, is up for it, but David says going into unexplored territory with a woman is too dangerous. Well, yeah, it's dangerous, but no need to make it a gender thing, David. And then one guy whose name escapes me says that dedication doesn't mean risking the lives of others. Well, they go into the lagoon because science, and Mark and David go scuba diving to look for the fossil. Mark bringing a harpoon because, well, he's a douche. I'm gonna call him harpoon shooting money grabber from now on. While they are underwater, peekaboo, out pops the creature! But he doesn't attack, rather he just observes the scuba divers who've invaded his home. And by the way, I commend the diver in the creature costume for holding his breath for so long. Kids, don't try this at home. Only professionals can do stuff like this. Mark and David come up with rock samples to compare with the fossil, and while the men are below deck doing science stuff, Kay gets out her sexy swimsuit and takes a dip in the unexplored waters, not even telling people where she's going. I guess this was to show her headstrong character, but come on, as a scientist, she should know the possible dangers of this water that has been unexplored. True, she doesn't know about the creature yet, and the men already went down there, but come on, piranhas, poisonous algae. You don't know what's down there, girl. No wonder you caught the eye of stalkerfish. Oh no, I'm blaming the victim here. It still wasn't smart. Bella PinkSavage agrees with me. No, it's just stupid. Yeah, every time you're in a horror film, don't go off on your own. I don't care how smart you are, or supposedly smart. So, yeah, Stalkerfish spots Kay swimming, and he swims along with her, and she's too distracted to notice. So, to our lonely little fishman here, he sees all this as flirting. This sequence is creepy, but I have to admit, beautifully directed. And you see a lot from the creature's perspective without him saying anything. Strong silent character is hard to pull off. Yeah, Bella PinkSavage agrees, never split up in a horror film. So, just as Kay's called back to the boat, and everyone tells her what a stupid thing swimming in unfamiliar water alone was to do, it really was, okay? Something rocks the boat, getting caught in the net. And David and Mark go down to investigate and come across the creature. And Mark, not even thinking, shoots a harpoon at him, despite not being attacked, which David points out when they resurface. And now that they've seen the fish man, they debate what to do about it. Should they capture it? Should they leave it alone? Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Mark wants to shoot it, especially when it starts killing the crewmates. Okay, fine. But David says, we came here to find fossils, not fight monsters. And thus the tension grows between Dave and harpoon-shooting money grabber Mark. So they all try drugging the creature with rotenone, which leads to the creature getting kind of groggy. Yeah, they drug the creature by putting in a special powder that they use to catch smaller fish. Just kind of putting a bit more in there to make the creature groggy. Doesn't harm him, just makes him sleepy. And then the men go after the creature in hunting speedos and goggles. Yes, it's exactly what they look like. And then all this leads to Kay almost getting carried off because no one keeps an eye on her, and because they never run from the monster, they just stand there screaming. I mean, buddy system, people! And the death of another nameless crew member, who I think was Brazilian. Yeah, I don't know. They don't really give these characters much before killing them off. But Fishboy's drugged enough that he passes out, and they manage to put him in a tank of water on board. But of course, he breaks out, because he's smart and he's strong, and severely injures another crewman whose name escapes me. Everyone except harpoon-shooting money grabber Mark agrees that they should just cut their losses and leave before anyone else dies. Yeah, smartest decision in the whole movie. Except now there's a huge dam blocking their exit. Clever fish boy. And this is why you shouldn't mess with nature. Dave comes up with a plan to use the rotenone as a spray gun to knock the fish boy out long enough for him to latch a cable or onto one of the logs and pull the dam apart so that they can get out of the lagoon. And Mark offers to go with Dave and serve as a decoy for the creature, but Dave is just so fed up with Mark's BS that he punches him in the face. Long time coming, Mark. Long time coming. So Dave goes down into the water to clear the dam, but Fishboy is waiting for him. Yeah, remember, he may be a fish man, but he's still got a brain of a human. The drugs are not enough, so Mark swoops in and leads Fishboy away and fights him. Mark doesn't win, but at least he died doing the first noble, selfless thing he's done all movie long. As stupid and idiotic as the move was, it was still noble. As the boys are clearing the dam, Fishboy boards the boat, sneaks up from behind and grabs Kay, because she's too busy staring off into space to notice anything. Seriously, the majority of the shots with Kay are her staring off wistfully into whatever, the sunset, the horizon. Yeah. Fishboy carries her back to his secret cavern, but Dave comes to her rescue. Fishboy tries to attack Dave, but the rest of the crew comes in, shooting up the place, hitting Fishboy. And Dave tells them to stop shooting, that they've done enough, and they allow the wounded Fishboy to crawl back into the lagoon and drift into the deep. Is he dead? I don't know. Find out in the sequel, Revenge of the Creature! No, I'm not kidding. Don't you just love how all the horror movies have unnecessary sequels? Too many to keep track of? Yeah. So, this is clearly one of those tragic, one-sided Beauty and the Beast stories, where kidnapping your crush ends really badly. Don't kidnap your crush, people. But you know what? Fish Boy, as I like to call him, isn't necessarily bad. He's just a poor, lonely creature, possibly the last of his kind, defending his home. He doesn't openly attack, but watches the intruders calculatively to see if they pose a threat. If you think about it, he only killed the Brazilian campers at the beginning because they threw a lantern at him. He was just coming up to observe them curiously, and they overreacted and just threw stuff at him. And in the lagoon, Mark shot a harpoon at him unprovoked. Sure, Fish Boy kidnaps a pretty girl, but given he's part animal, he probably has different mating rules and thought the whole swimming was like a mating call. Yeah, you can't really blame him. He's part human, but he's also part animal. And PinkSavage, yeah, oof, that's awkward. At least it's not like King Kong, where he's just attracted to a pretty human face for some reason. This attraction was depicted more in animal terms. You see a creature with a female body about your size, and in Fish Boy's case, close to his species, a potential swim mate. Give the guy a break. He's an endangered species. He's gonna take what he can get. As for our beauty character, for the 1950s, she diverts a bit from the horror movie scream queen stereotype. Yeah, she does a lot of screaming, and not a lot of running or defending herself like, God, woman, what are you good for? But unlike most damsels, she has a well-paying job in the scientific field, and a degree to back it up. Sure, she's still got a hot body, and she's the love interest, and the men feel the need to protect her, but at least they listen to her opinions, scientifically speaking. And her relationship with her colleague, David Reed, is actually pretty egalitarian for the 1950s. Dr. Maya even asks why the two of them aren't married yet. Apparently, it's because they're always together already that they don't see the rush in getting married. And Dave says, well, they'll do it once Kay gets a raise. So they're in no rush to get married, and David respects Kay's work and believes she deserves more money. So yeah, this film was actually a little bit ahead of its time. But, still in the 1950s. As PinkSavage says, well, you get what you get back then. However, I will point out Kay's main role in this story is to get kidnapped by a love-struck male. Well, you can't win them all, but at least she has more than just a hot body and pretty face and ear-piercing scream. The movie as a whole sends an environmental message and serves as a cautionary tale for those who go to extremes in the pursuit of knowledge. It's very common for horror movies and books of the time during and after the Industrial Revolution. Frankenstein, The Fly, The Invisible Man, they all serve as a warning for if you go too far with seeking knowledge. Like if you try to turn yourself invisible, if you try to create life, if you try to teleport. Unexpected things will happen if you're not careful enough. Especially in the 1950s, with space exploration being the new thing in the scientific field. The pursuit of knowledge is well and good, but there is a danger to it. And even now, you gotta be careful. Think about the vaccine we're developing for the coronavirus. We really need it, but all that testing, there are risks to it, I will admit. Because if the vaccine doesn't work, there might be other side effects we might not be aware of. Not saying a vaccine isn't what we need. It's just, there are some dangers to it. There are risks. As with everything. A real-life historical example of the risks that could come from the pursuit of knowledge or glory would be colonialism. Imagine Columbus and his crew as the scientists of this story, and the indigenous people of what is now America as the creature. Or consider the rainforests we destroy in the name of progress, or the animals we hunt into extinction for sport or money. We treat life we consider beneath us as something we have the right to destroy for whatever reason, knowledge, money, glory. And these creatures defending their homes are painted as the monsters. But people like harpoon-shooting Mark are the real monsters, even if he did redeem himself a little bit at the end. But if they had left the creature alone in his lagoon, those people wouldn't have died. You wonder where the aggression of ethnic minorities come from? Just look back at history and think. Who attacked first? Is the anger not justified? We shouldn't have to change the world at the cost of our wildlife or human lives. As the movie says, dedication to science is not worth risking lives. Alright, so now that I've gone through my whole spiel, anyone in the chat have anything they'd like to ask further or anything they'd like to add? PinkSavage says, well, now that I know this story took place in the Amazon, I'm gonna find and watch it since me and my mom are Portuguese. I know she'll like it. Yeah, fair warning, there's not really a lot of Portuguese in the movie. And as I say, most of the Brazilian characters die. And actually, I'm not sure any of them were actually Brazilian. I am not certain, but given the time, I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't. I do know that that the Brazilian doctor, he was actually Spanish, but close enough for the time. And PinkSavage, we have to take what we can get. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, anytime you're watching really old movies, be aware that they are films of their time. Some stuff may be ahead of their time, like having a female scientist, but even so, they're films of their time. You have to accept them as they are. Alright, so anything else you'd like to add to the discussion, patrons in the chat? Remember, you too can join these private live streams and add your own opinions to these topics by becoming a patron today. Live streams are for a minimum $10 per patrons. Just go pledge now. Go to patron.podbean.com/beautiesandbeasts. Okay. And PinkSavage, nope, all good here. Enjoy the rest of your night. So, patrons, there will not be a poll for the next episode I will be doing, as 2 Thursdays from now is November 5th, 2020. Remember the 5th of November. Guy Fawkes Night, if you are one of my British listeners out there. Guy Fawkes Night 2020, when the movie V for Vendetta takes place. And wouldn't you know it, a futuristic movie that got things eerily right in a convoluted way? I mean, there's a global virus, people are wearing masks, people are getting shot in their own homes, there's a curfew, and a dictator in a prominent Western country. Okay, not Britain, but you know what I mean. So, what better time to cover this movie with a Beauty and the Beast plot than the very date it takes place? Join me on the 5th of November, earlier for you patrons, for my special Guy Fawkes Night episode. Yay! And to all my fellow Americans out there, if you don't want to live under a dictatorship for 4 more years, then vote on November 3rd. Yeah, I said it. Biden and Harris 2020. Deal with it. And enjoy your Halloween. Even if we can't go out tonight, I'm sure you can find a better way to... lots of ways to celebrate in the comforts of your own home. Hey, at least masks are in style. Be sure to wear a mask. And check out the masks I have available for sale on Redbubble at DisneyFanatic23.redbubble.com. And as my patron, PinkSavage, says in the chat, Happy Spooky Month!